Pinky. Hi, this is Pinky with Pinky Jackson Organizing Consultants, and I wanted to hop on here really quickly. This is very spontaneous, so I know you'll be gracious about the spontaneity of this just really quick video. I wanted to share something with you. As you may know, when I hear the same concern about organizing 2 or 3 times, I try to put something out there really quickly to help my friends and family and clients who are worried about a certain topic. And what I've heard 3 times this week is, what do I do about the piles of gifts my kids get for the holidays, right? And so I wanted to kind of break it down into a before, during, and after, okay? So before, during, and after the holidays, and whether that's their birthday, whether it's Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever your family celebrates, if you're concerned that your children or you or your puppies are going to get piles of gifts and you're going to just be overwhelmed by that, this video is for you, okay? So here is the before, right? So before the holidays, 2 things I think are really helpful. Number 1, let everybody who buys your children gifts know that you're trying to declutter and get organized. Let them know in advance that if they planned on getting your child a gift, could they think about a zoo membership, a museum membership, a really great book that the child wants, something they need for school, something that the child would enjoy but isn't going to add clutter to your house, right? So with the before, talk to the grandparents, the godparents, and the friends, and explain the stress that you have as a parent, as someone who's trying to show your child to how to have a really organized, beautiful, happy, peaceful space, and really communicate that as well as you can. And of course, you want to be very sensitive to the fact that some people find great joy in buying gifts, and it may be hard for someone not to buy your child a gift, and that's okay. We'll address that in a little bit, but at least be just really authentic and truthful and put it out there and let them know what your child is really enjoying these days. I think almost always children, especially if you start young, they want activities. They want something that's interesting. They want time with their loved ones. And this is November of 2020, and time with our loved ones has changed so much, but there's still things you can do in order to have time with your children and let their grandparents and their godparents and their aunts and anyone who would buy them presents gift them with something that the child really wants but won't clutter up your house or the child's bedroom. Okay, so get creative about that and figure out things that your child wants to save for, and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people can pitch in on that one thing that the child will really get authentic, long-lasting enjoyment of, right? And then think of a camping trip, a museum, a swim, a spa, anything like that anyone in the family would like to have that you would have to spend money on, and think about maybe that's what you can suggest. So you can give them some gift suggestions, right? And that's often really easy because your child is old enough and you know what they want, they know what they want. And sometimes that's really hard, but at least give them some ideas. And if you need a list of ideas, shoot me a text message. You can email me at pinky@pinkyjackson.com, and I'll give you some ideas. But that's the first thing, is just be really authentic with the people in your life and let them know where you are. If you're saving for new dishes, if your child is saving for a special game, whatever it is, let them know what truly would make your holidays feel great. And it may be an item, and it may be time, and it may be a service. You know, it may be that your child would love to take Spanish lessons and would love to have a tutor, or it may be that they would love to go to mega caverns or somewhere that's an activity that's expensive that someone can gift them with. And maybe it's truly that they would like to have an hour, whether it's in person or on Zoom, every Wednesday with grandma, having milk and cookies, having a cup of tea, and telling stories. And for some of us, we don't carve out time like that consistently unless we know that someone we love would love that or needs that. So coupon books are great for those types of things, and the younger we start the children appreciating time, the better. So it's just really nice to let the people know in your life that are going to give you presents and are going to give your children presents what would really be a meaningful present that isn't going to end up just on the floor somewhere, right? So advance information about that, and also talking to your children in an age developmental way, in a developmentally appropriate way based on their age, to kind of get some ideas, right? I will tell you that when my son was, I guess he was about 5 years old, he asked his grandma why she got him 20 or 30 or so many big kind of presents that fell apart easily instead of the one book he wanted. Now, he just straight out said that, and he allows me to tell people that he is on the autistic spectrum, and so that's where his filter was at 5 years old, and his vocabulary. But that's what she needed, even though I had been telling her for a few years, oh, here's one Hearthsong catalog that has toys we want the kids to have, and please don't get us anything with batteries. That she was not able to hear that, but out of the mouths of babes, she did hear that, and that changed things. So anything you can do in advance, the before is important. The other part of before, that, holiday clutter, is your communication with yourself and your children. What are you doing about the clutter in your life? Are they seeing a role model, an example of someone who doesn't have too many things, and who, when you do get too many things, you find someone who needs them or wants them, and you regift them, or you donate them, or you actually use the things that you get, and you write a meaningful thank you note, and all of that. So what kind of example are you setting for the children? And then just teaching the kids that at a matter of course, if we have too many board games, we give our board games to some children who don't have enough toys. And I will tell you, there's always people in need, and that is a big part of what we do, is we make sure that nice, gently used items go to folks who really need it. And depending upon where you live, I'm certain there's someone that can use it, right? And if that is just a matter of course before the holidays, where you're letting children know, the holidays are coming up, and you may have, oh no, okay, Jimmy, I see you. So the dude I just posted, just don't get the little ones clothes. This is true. When they're like 4, 5, and 6, and they're expecting toys from their godparent, and they get clothes, that might not be the greatest. You're right. That was funny. So yeah, managing those expectations in a developmentally appropriate way. You're exactly right, dude. But it is really important to really help them know that before the holidays, what can they let go of? How can they declutter their closet, give away toys? Just realistically letting them know your birthday's coming up and you're going to get a few things, so let's make room so that you can have a nice place to store that, and so that you have enough room to play with it. And this is especially important this year because children are having to do so many more things in their room or in their home. All of our clients right now are struggling with, I need a classroom space, and I need an activity space, and an arts and crafts space, and we're making 4 meals a day at home now instead of just 2, so they're doing that snack and that lunch when it used to be at school. And so it's a really good time between now and the end of the year to help children make space in their room, make space in your home. I'm so grateful I was raised celebrating Advent, and we wanted to make room in our hearts and our homes for the birth of Christ. So whatever your spiritual path is or isn't, whatever that is, this is really a really good time to make room, let things go. So those are the things that before, during, and after too much Christmas clutter or holiday clutter. Those are some of the things you can do, is yourself first, so that you're authentic and so that you feel good and you learn ways to get rid of things. And then your children, and then anyone who gifts your children, please let them know what the truth is for you and for each person in your family, what physical items, and then what non-physical gifts would really be special for them. So there's some things you can do before. And then there's the during, right? So the during is when that gift is being given and when that gift is being wrapped or selected. So whether you and your children are picking out, making, buying, ordering, and then wrapping and writing cards for gifting someone else, see if you can slow down and really enjoy that third of the process, right? That third of the process is really important. Be in every part of the process. Be really in the moment. Be really present and in the moment. It's the key to happiness. But really be in the moment and talk about why you are getting that gift for that person, and how you saved for it, or how you shopped for it, and wrap it specially, or whatever you need to do. Or it could be that you don't have time to do all that, but it's going to be a fun race to see, can we get everyone's presents in one shopping thing and throw them all in one shopping time and get them all in bags and make a fun game out of it, if that's what you need to do. But really, in that moment of preparing the gift, that's part of the gift, because that's how you're putting your love into it and your thoughtfulness into it. And that really helps, because then the next phase of the after of the gift is really it's kind of bridges, actually. It bridges the during and the after, right? Because it's when, hi Sissy Bug, I see you, my beautiful daughter. So it kind of bridges the during and the after when someone gives you a gift, right? Such a beautiful thing to teach the children. And I know all of us try to teach the children to have 3 things to say about the gift in a written thank you note, or 2 things at least to say in person. So teach the children to really enjoy the transaction of the gift, it coming from someone to them, to where they can take time to acknowledge it, not just rip all the packages and what all this, but one gift at a time, right? And say something about the wrapping, if it is wrapped. Say something about the lack of wrapping, which is pretty environmentally friendly or funny if someone just never wraps or whatever. But let them behold the gift and feel something, and if they're old enough, say something about that, and look the person who gave it to them in the eye, if that's possible. Call and Zoom with them as you're unwrapping the gift, and say, oh, look, we got it in the mail, Grandma, and I love the red bow. Thank you for taking time to wrap it. Just be in that moment, and then open it up and, say something about that. That was very nice of you to get this, and I see this, and follow it up with a thank you note, that, the proper way to write thank you notes, a few sentences about that. But just really enjoy that moment. And then when that moment's over and the person who gave you that gift is no longer in your presence, the transaction's over, right? They've given you the gift. They have gotten the joy of selecting it, shopping for it, wrapping it, sending it, handing it to you. That has happened for them, and now it's yours. And once it's yours, you don't have to keep it, right? So that may sound a little harsh, but it's really important that you know that everything that comes in your house doesn't have to stay in your house. And everything that is in your car or your shopping cart doesn't have to go home with you, right? So if you're at a party, and I know we're not doing any or many parties this year, but if you're somewhere and you get a lot of gifts, or you're shopping in a store and you're putting gifts in your cart, whether it's online or brick and mortar, just because you're looking at it, thinking about it, doesn't mean you actually have to buy it or keep it. So that's another thing to teach the children when they're really young. Well, wasn't that nice of, Uncle Bob to buy you an Uno set, an Uno card deck, and you've already got one. So here's our basket where we put regifts, or here's our basket where we put donations. And that's just where we automatically put duplicates, or something that's too young for them. If someone got them something that's just not developmentally right for them, or something that has a lot of labels and itchy fabric, and your sweet little special kid is not ever going to wear that. You can automatically and gently, with reverence and thoughtfulness, enjoy the moment of receiving it, be grateful, and then set it aside and move on. It doesn't have to stay in your house. You don't have to keep it for hours or days or months or years just because somebody gave it to you. You don't. It's your home. It's your space. And once that gift is given to you, like I said, the transaction's over. And being thoughtful in that moment, and appreciating it and being thankful, that's enough, right? And then if you're not going to play with the gift or play with the toy or whatever, but that person who gave it to you is still there, spending time with them, or Zoom calling them and talking to them about your day, or having, especially having grandparents and elders, if your children are fortunate enough to still have elders living, taking time to have them tell stories, and taking time to show them pictures and say, who's this? And how old were you here, Grandma? Those are the meaningful things that give our children roots and tether them to a support circle, right? It's not the plastic toy. That's not what's going to make them know really what the holidays are all about, right? So for all of you grandparents out there and godparents and friends who are so excited to be shopping for your grandchild or a neighbor or a friend, just know, talk to the mama or the daddy, whomever's responsible for them, and just see if they're overwhelmed right now with stuff, because many of them are. I'm hearing that a lot right now. They have so much more stuff in their house because of the year that it is, or just because they're new parents and they don't realize how many accessories come with children, and how you just have to revamp your whole life in many ways, and it becomes very, very overwhelming. And right now we have a lot of families who are experiencing anxiety or depression, either for the first time or in a real heightened way, and the stuff is part of that. But if we can say, hey, instead of getting you this gift, Mom, what I'd like to do is come in and clean your house for you, or I'd like to make you a casserole, or how about if it's safe to do though, I take the kids for, an hour, a weekend, an afternoon, whatever works. Think about gifts in a way that is, I think it's the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Not the golden rule. Do unto others as you, but it's not about you. It's about them. What does that special person in your life that you want to give a gift to, what do they need, right? And so we can get really creative this year. We have to. We've all had to get so much more creative this year about our environment and our schedules and our calendars and who we're seeing and who we're not seeing, right? So I would just invite you all to, first of all, please think about the young moms, because those are who I'm hearing from right now, who are kind of terrified of how much stuff is going to come into their house, and they're going to have to find a place for it, and they're going to have to pick up the wrapping and buy batteries for it and make a home for it. And it's kind of overwhelming. And I know that when I get to that stage where I'm getting things for grandkids or granddogs, one of the first things I'm going to offer is, you want me to come by like after Thanksgiving and help you declutter their bedroom, the toy room, the storage room, the garage, wherever, help you get rid of things before the holidays hit? I mean, that would be a great gift for some parents. And so I would say just be really thoughtful about the before, during, and after of too many gifts for children or adults for the holidays, right? I personally love for my kids to get, my kids are all adults now, so, but I loved for my children to get things that I knew they have an aunt and an uncle that always knew what they loved to read. And they would get that great book, and it would be inscribed, and they would really cherish that, and they really felt seen by that person in their life. And I will tell you that the people who consistently in their lives took the time just 2 or 3 times a year when gifts would come, maybe just twice a year, but the people in their lives who took the time to really know them enough to buy a gift that worked, every one of those people has remained really close to my children, and there's this bond that I'm just really grateful for. And what has helped is that my kids can actually, could and still can say things to them about what they want and what they don't want, and they actually ended up being people in their lives that they could go to when it didn't have anything to do about gifts, but they just had some teenage angst or something they needed to talk about, and maybe they didn't want to talk to me or my husband about it. They just wanted another adult who was a little bit farther away from them, but they knew them really well and saw them. And so it all has turned out to be a year-round gift when you really think about why you give people gifts. Knowing your family and friends really deeply, knowing what would make them feel happy, knowing that things that they need or things that are really healthy for them, or treats that they would never get themselves, a massage or a pedicure or a craniosacral treatment or a hardback book that just came out, so it's kind of expensive, but they really want to read it before it's, their time to get it at the library, anything like that. But just really, it's really more about the intentionality and really thinking about it and getting creative with how you can have fun with the holidays without feeling overwhelmed by the clutter. And I personally, I love to wrap gifts. I love holiday decorations. I love all of that. But I also, almost automatically, when I give gifts, I say, I really thought you'd like it, but if you don't, put it right in your donation bin or hand it back to me. I do not want you to be overwhelmed by this thing, but I do want you to know that I had a lot of fun thinking of you, and I really hope that you know that I love you. Even if I didn't do a great job buying this particular gift, I want you to know that I had a great time with the before and the during, and I'm not at all attached to what you do to the after. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to remember that we can tell people in advance and set an example in advance of not wanting to just be buried in stuff. And we can really enjoy the during and the transaction and be gracious and enjoy and say something kind about the gift and the giver and enjoy time with them. And then it doesn't mean we have to keep that thing at all. Like I said, we don't have to keep it that day. I used to keep a box in my minivan when my kids got things that they knew they never would want, and they were little, so maybe they would, so I would let it stay there for a couple weeks, and if they never asked about it, some really fortunate child would get it, right? So those are just some tips for how to deal with a lot of gifts that you fear are coming your child's way or even your way for the holidays, and hopefully some encouragement to give yourself permission to, just because someone gives you something doesn't mean you have to keep it. If that's something they expect, that really doesn't have anything to do with you. You don't have to take that attachment on, right? But you do want to find a way to enjoy the holidays and not be overwhelmed by stuff. So I thank you for taking the time to watch. Hi, Jillian. Hi, Julie. I'm learning how to read these little things here. I'm kind of new to this stuff. So those are two creative, artistic people right there. So I know they know how to do that. But I think the most important thing is to plan ahead a little bit. Be your normal, wonderful, gracious self during. But just remember, the gift of the holidays, no matter how you celebrate the holidays and what that's about for you, the true deep meaning in every philosophy and theology that I've learned about is not material. It's not material. So enjoy that part and love that part, but also give yourself the freedom and the permission to let that go. Because remember, you deserve to be happy. Thanks so much. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.